My 19 male parents are kicking me out by the end of March. How can I convince them not to? I'm not leeching off them. I literally had 2 jobs I worked. My dad and mum came into my room today and had a one-on-one with me. They wanted me to leave. They're giving me till the end of March to get my things and get out. My dad says I'm 19 and working fast food. I'm going nowhere. They gave me a year and I still haven't stepped up to adulthood. Mum says at my age, boys become men and start preparing to start a family or career. I have done neither and have no direction. My dad then says they talked this over and think this is the right choice and this isn't open for debate. I don't know how to comprehend this. I work 2 jobs, not just 1. I'm 19 and they expect me to have my life figured out. I don't know what I want to do. How can I be expected to know this? I can't afford my car note or rent since the cost of living is so high here. What the hell am I supposed to do? Is this even fair? Damn dude, your parents suck ass. Preparing to start a family at age 19 is silly. Preparing to start a career at age 19 is not. Approach your current workplace about more duties and or possibility of a management type position. This gets you paid more money. You've been given 2 months. I assume that's 4 paychecks. Find a roommate situation. I'm sorry you can't afford the car. It may suck riding a bicycle, but it's wheels. Learn the bus route. What you have in a roommate situation is half the rent and household bills including groceries. Then you have your phone, doctor copays and medical supplies, well-constructed shoes. Keep to the bare minimum. Use free month Netflix, bow out, then get Netflix again only when there's something you really want to watch, for another free month. Cold carts aren't all that healthy, but they're cheap and will keep you alive. Put off college until you can get established and into a roommate situation you can count on. If you have brand name clothing you don't need, sell them for quick cash on Depop or something. Don't let your spare time go to waste. Staring at a screen all night isn't going to help you further yourself. Get an odd job 2 or 3 nights a week to go with the job you already have. Is there really a point to trying to talk them into letting you stay longer? Clearly it's their home and they can dictate who lives there and who doesn't. But pushing you towards finding someone to make babies with at age 19 is weird. Once you're out of the house and into your own address, see if you can get EBT for a little while. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Find the local soup kitchen and eat there one night, serve the next night. Avoid impulse buys. Once things have settled down, look into trade schools. Get a welding certificate, perhaps. It's work you can be proud of and makes really good money. While you're getting your life together, avoid talking to your parents for a while, except when necessary. You don't want to fall into a construct where you're consistently asking your parents for help, advice, money, or anything else. Good luck to you, and may you always believe in yourself. I went to a fabrication and welding trade at 19, and was being paid $200,000 a year with 4 months off by 24. I'm 28 now and have my own, very small, welding business. Demand is huge and I charge whatever I want. It's not a bad path to take. The work sucks, but the money is worth it. Hyperfocus 1569 says, I was expected to either go to college or begin to train for a career at 18. I went to college. I expected the same of my children, and one went to college and the other went to a trade school. Both are successful and independent, which is the goal of setting that expectation. That said, I always knew that was the expectation, and so did my children. If your parents never communicated that expectation to you, it's kind of crappy to set it out of the blue, even if it was a year ago. Because the expectation was always known, planning and seeking direction were in the works long before 18 for both me and my children. I think a little more notice would have been in order so you could get serious about planning a workable exit strategy in a reasonable time frame. That said, it looks like you're faced with a very short window to plan a strategy that will allow you to support yourself. Look at moving in with a roommate, possibly selling your car to get a cheaper option, look into trade schools with a short training period, etc. If you decide on a trade and meet with the people at a trade school or union and then bring that information to your parents with a firm plan in place for completion and move out, maybe they'll allow you to continue to live there while you complete that. And now on to the update. They're adamant. I gave them a valid reason, gave them a plan, but they rejected it because it's too far, too late. My mum says she knows what they're doing is right, and in 10 years I'll be thankful. My dad said being homeless isn't so bad, and the life is hard, but I'll get by. I'm his son and will always land on my feet. I'm going to sell the car and most of my luxury items. I have to quit my jobs. A friend of a friend needs a roommate. We'll split the rent in two. I'll pay $7.50. Internet and cable is his. Anything else is extra. I'll have to relocate across town. That's my only option. I'm already looking at jobs nearby within walking distance. Apartment is run down, but it's all I can afford. This sucks. It really effing sucks. They're abandoning me. The area is really rough, but it's what I gotta do. I hate them so much, it's genuinely not fair to do this to me, and anyone defending this is just as bad. I worked, I helped out, I was a good child. I didn't have a plan because I didn't know what I wanted in life. Being out of school meant I was given a degree of independence, freedom to decide what I wanted in life, and I thought I had time. In high school I never had any social life. Never. My parents made me work and do EC activities. I rarely was allowed downtime to play games or hang out. If I wasn't busy, I was wasting time. After high school, I didn't have a plan for what I wanted. Since I was 18, I wasn't being pressured anymore. I took it easy and had more time to do unproductive things while I figured out things. Why is that wrong? I'm not a leech, I'm not lazy, I'm just trying to figure out who I am. If that makes me a loser, a failure, then I guess I am. Not everyone instantly knows everything after high school. Now in the comments, Vegetable Tank 6228 says, "Do not sell your car, because that gives you some place to live. I know it sounds crazy, but I lived in my car for a year just to buy a house. I showered at the gym, slept at rest areas as they had free Wi-Fi. I kept my belongings in a storage unit and kept just clothes I needed and blankets. I was always clean and no one knew any different. Even if OP isn't going to live in it, I wouldn't sell it until it's absolutely necessary. What if he can get a better job a bit further away? And it's so hard to save for a car. If you have one, at least you can get something out of it to put towards a better car." Quote, "My dad said being homeless isn't so bad and the life is hard, but I'll get by." End quote. Huh? I genuinely have no words. Anyway, I agree with others that you should not quit your job until you find a job near your new place. Right? I'd like to see the dad spend some time homeless if that's what he thinks. And Chilean Fruit Lover says, "Don't quit your job unless you have another one ready. Your only option now is to move out and keep going. You will be able to find your interests without pressure. Just remember that your parents will keep the 'we gave you everything' attitude, so they may ask for things from you in the future. Figure out whether you want to help them or not." Posted by user ThrowRA Hello Reddit, titled, "My 27 female, boyfriend's 28 male, best friend also 28 male, has been living with us and I don't like it." Hi, this is a throwaway because this is kind of personal. I've never made a post on this subreddit before, so let me know if I'm doing anything wrong. Sorry if this is long or for any grammatical mistakes. For background, I'm a 27-year-old woman. My boyfriend, 28 male, and I have lived together in our 2-bedroom house for about 2 years now. We live in a suburb outside a city in the US. I saw in the rules there was something about providing a general location. I hope this is enough. We met about 4.5 years ago when we were working at the same place and have been together for coming up on 4 years. We had planned to get married last summer but had to cancel it due to the pandemic. We both have parents who have health conditions and wanted them to attend. We're waiting for the vaccine to get more available to have our wedding, since a wedding is something we both want. My boyfriend is a friend who I will call Bill. Bill and my boyfriend have been friends since childhood and attended school together. As children, Bill and my boyfriend were very close and did many things together. As I understand it, Bill's family was pretty dysfunctional, so my boyfriend and his parents, late 50s male-female, provided a lot of stability for him. Bill didn't go to college, and my boyfriend did, but they remained good friends as we all live in the same area. The entire time I've been with my boyfriend, he and Bill have been close, and I've gotten to know Bill. Before the pandemic, we would often go on double dates with Bill and Bill's girlfriend. This will become relevant later, but Bill has always had many girlfriends with the relationships never lasting very long. My boyfriend has implied to me that this stems from commitment issues from his childhood, but as someone who isn't by any means a psychologist, I can't speak to this. I've always liked Bill. He's friendly, kind, and funny. He's always been a great friend to my boyfriend, and I've gotten to the point where I consider him a friend, albeit not as close as him and my boyfriend. In May 2020, Bill lost his job and was unable to pay his rent. At the time, he didn't have a partner. Again, no stable girlfriends, and had no family to rely on. My boyfriend offered for him to stay with us. He asked me first, and I said I was happy to help Bill out until he got on his feet again, assuming it was temporary. At this point, Bill has been living with us since May, and to put it bluntly, I'm getting tired of it. In August, he was able to find a new job that, while I don't know the details, pays comparably to his last one. In response, he's helped with the utility bills and with the groceries, but made no move to move out. Now, I like Bill, and he's a good guest, but I feel like it's time for him to find his own place. Our house is very small, so it feels like I'm never alone with my boyfriend. It's always me, my boyfriend, and Bill. This is amplified because we're all in an area that has a lot of current cases, so we're all working from home and quarantining for the most part. In our country, many things are closed, so it's not even like my boyfriend and I can go on a date alone to a restaurant or something because of the pandemic. Around New Year's, I brought up to my boyfriend Bill finding his own place, while Bill wasn't present. While my boyfriend wasn't mad at me, he explained that he feels like we need to be there for Bill in his time of need. When I pointed out that Bill has a job and is much more financially secure now, my boyfriend said that Bill would be lonely if he moved into an apartment by himself now because of the pandemic. Furthermore, my boyfriend said that Bill was there for him when his brother, my boyfriend's brother that is, died in a tragic accident when they were all teenagers. Because of that, he says that he should be there for Bill now. He also said that he considers Bill a brother and is happy to do whatever for him. He brought up how my sister, 30 female, stayed with us for a month in the past when she was trying to get out of an abusive relationship. Coming out of that talk, I guess I've been confused. I go back and forth between feeling like I'm being irrational to want Bill out of our house and feeling like it's justified. Maybe I'm being too harsh about the whole situation. I don't know. From our talk, it doesn't seem like my boyfriend minds Bill living with us at all. I suppose I don't know where to go from here. Should I just let it all be and assume Bill will move out when he's ready? Should I talk to my boyfriend again? Should I bring it up with Bill? I considered doing this, but was worried it would be inhospitable and not my place, as he's much closer with my boyfriend. Anyway, thank you for any advice you can give me. I appreciate it in advance. Now in the comments, Caro SCP says, your boyfriend isn't being fair comparing a single month for your sister with the 8 months of Bill. Hardly on the same scale. If the only reason is he'll be lonely, it's not as if you want him removed from your lives completely or banning him from visiting. Does he really have no other friends or relatives to talk to? Does he not have a phone? Right? That's exactly what I thought. And yes, I'm happy with Bill being in our lives. I just don't want him literally living with us. As for relatives, from what I understand, Bill's parents were addicts. His mother passed a few years ago, boyfriend went to funeral, and he's not in contact with his father. He has a half-brother who lives in another state that he talks with occasionally. He considers the boyfriend's family his family and lived with them at various times as a kid, though to my knowledge, there was no formal arrangement. Most holidays he comes to my boyfriend's parents with us. They have other friends and a friend group that consists mostly of boyfriend's college friends. Pre-pandemic, they would all go out drinking. I don't believe he's very close with any of them, though just my boyfriend. Ask him what his timeline on Bill moving out is. It doesn't need to be an exact day, but something to give you an idea of what he's asking of you here. Whatever else is the case, you deserve a rough timeline. Remember that this is your house too. There should be no situation involving people staying here that you both don't agree upon. Thank you for the advice. I'm a bit too much of a people pleaser and sometimes struggle with getting my opinion heard. The last time I talked with my boyfriend, he said that maybe when things settled down with the pandemic, I might talk to him and try to get a more specific timeline. I get it. Having a girlfriend and best friend living with you during the pandemic is the best of both worlds. It's probably very comforting to him. But this isn't college. Bill has a job, and it's time for him to go and live as a couple again. I would bring it up with a boyfriend again, and also ask Bill what his timeline might be. Thank you. You're right. I think I will try and initiate a discussion with my boyfriend, and maybe try and bring up moving out casually with Bill. I've been Bill twice in my life. Both times I mostly kept to myself. First time had another roommate that I hung out with, and only hung out with the boyfriend when he wanted to. First time I thought all was good, and the girlfriend seemed happy. It wasn't until the second time that I realized I was straining their relationship, even if I spent most of the time in my room. I think couples need their space. Having a significant other and best friend around all the time isn't good for a relationship. He gets the best of both worlds, always has his best friend and always has his significant other. You get him when he wants what you provide more than what his best friend provides. The second time I moved out as soon as possible. Edit to add, I guess what I'm trying to say is Bill might not be aware that it's a strain on your relationship, but your boyfriend should know, and he should be proactive in getting him out, if it is an issue. And now on to the update. Hi. First off, thank you to everyone who offered support and advice on my last post. I really appreciate it. There has been some updates, and I wanted to ask for a bit more advice, so I'm posting again. The link for my original post is below. I took advice from some of the commenters and decided I was going to talk to both my boyfriend and Bill about Bill moving out. On Tuesday morning when my boyfriend was out jogging, I asked Bill when he thought he was going to get his own place. I tried to be casual and non-judgmental about it, but Bill responded in stride, apologizing for staying with us for so long and saying that he had been looking for an apartment. I took this as a good sign. On Wednesday, my boyfriend had a big presentation at work. It was virtual, so I decided to bring it up with him on Thursday after dinner. Bill was in his bedroom, and my boyfriend and I were watching TV in the living room. I told my boyfriend that I had talked to Bill about moving out, and it sounded like he'd been planning to do so soon. I honestly assumed that if he was truly planning to move out, he would have already told my boyfriend, as they're close. Boyfriend was immediately unhappy and told me that I shouldn't have told Bill that I wanted him to move out, which wasn't even what I said, because it probably made him feel bad. I told him that Bill didn't seem fazed by it, but my boyfriend said that I don't know Bill well enough to tell. He then started talking about how Bill has mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety, and living with us was helping him get over them. This is the first I've ever heard such a thing, though obviously I don't know everything about Bill, and he could very well have these issues. I was starting to get upset by this point, and told him that that was too bad if Bill had these issues, but they weren't our problem, and that Bill was still intruding on our home and relationship. We started fighting to the point I was nearly crying. At this point, Bill came out of his bedroom. Our home is a one-story, so everything is close together. He must have heard us and said that he was leaving if it was causing so much stress. My boyfriend tried to stop him, but he left in his car, though all his stuff was still at our place. After that, my boyfriend and I exchanged a few words, and I finally told him that I didn't want to fight that night when we were both tired and emotional, and I was going to stay the night at my sister's, 30 female. I took my laptop for work and a change of clothes, and went to the apartment my sister lives in, about 15 minutes away with her daughter. Yes, I know this sounds a bit hypocritical, but I was only planning on staying at my sister's for the night, not months. I worked online for my sister's today during the day. Boyfriend did not call me, and I did not call him. When I got out of work at 3, I drove back to my house to try and talk with my boyfriend. He wasn't there, and neither was Bill. This is odd as both work remotely during the day and usually work until 4 or 5. All of their stuff is still here, so obviously Bill hasn't moved out. I've tried calling both of them, and they didn't pick up. I fed our cat and am just kind of sitting here waiting for them to call me back. I don't really know what to do. On another note, I've gotten several calls from my boyfriend's mother during the day. I didn't pick up, mainly because I was working, but also because I didn't really want her involved in everything that was going on. For reference, boyfriend's mother and I am not particularly close. We talk on holidays and at family get-togethers, not really happening now because of the pandemic, and when she calls our home to talk to my boyfriend, but not much outside of that. While she's always been nice to me to my face, I know she disapproves of us living together before marriage, as she is very religious. She has also had disagreements with my boyfriend about us not going to church frequently, but these have largely ended due to the pandemic. Needless to say, she doesn't really call me regularly, so I think her calls are probably about this situation, but I honestly have no clue what she could possibly have to say about it. I'm also confused as to why my boyfriend would even involve her, as they aren't really close. He talks to her regularly, but more out of obligation. I'm not sure if maybe he or Bill are at her place. I don't know. I guess I'm asking for advice. My sister thinks I should break up with my boyfriend. I'm not sure. We've planned and built a life together. We have been planning a wedding, and if it weren't for the pandemic, we would already have been married. I love him, but on the other hand, I feel slighted and unimportant. It's Valentine's Day weekend, and he's not even here, and is off who knows where. I'm just so confused, and feel like I don't even understand what is going on anymore. How could Bill be more important than me? I don't get it. Any input would be appreciated. I feel like I need an outside perspective. I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. I'm pretty upset and emotional. Edit. Just talked to my boyfriend's mother. Apparently my boyfriend called Thursday night and said he was going up to their cabin this weekend. It's about an hour away, with Bill. She couldn't get a hold of either of them and was calling me to see if I could because she wanted to remind them of how to take care of the cabin. I assume they're up there. The service is sketchy there, so that might be why I can't get a hold of either of them. Edit 2. Hi guys. This really blew up. Thank you for all of your comments and support. I appreciate it so much. I will try and respond. I just woke up a few minutes ago. Still can't get into contact with my boyfriend. I'm planning on going over to my sister's and talking it over with her. If we still can't get in contact, we might go up to the cabin. I don't know. She doesn't have her daughter this weekend because she's with her ex. Edit 3. Hi guys. Thank you for all the comments and advice. Some of you asked for an update, so I'm posting this. I did not go up to the cabin in the end. I left a voicemail to my boyfriend saying that I was worried and concerned and to please call me back. On the urging of my sister, I told him that his mum had told me where he was and that I was worried and would come up if I didn't hear back from him. After that, he did get back to me and we talked briefly. He said he just needed to blow off steam and that's why he went away. He said he would be back Monday and we would talk then. We both have work off for President's Day. He apologized for missing Valentine's Day. I felt bad but tried to stay calm because I didn't want to cause a scene. He initially said he was up there alone, but when I pointed out that his mum had said that Bill was with him, he agreed that Bill was with him. This kind of made me feel a little weird, but I don't know. I asked if Bill was okay, and he said yes, that he's fine, which is good, because after something you guys said, I was worried. I'm sorry I didn't respond last night. I stayed at my sister's with my cat. I saw some of you were worried. I would never leave her alone, at least not if I knew no one else was home, and wanted to get away from everything. Edit 4, Update. Hi guys, I just wanted to update you all on this situation because you deserved it after all the help you've given me. TLDR, we decided to break up. My now ex-boyfriend came back at around noon with Bill. Bill briefly apologized to me for everything that happened and then went back to his room. Boyfriend, still calling him this to reduce confusion, and I talked in the living room of our house, alone without Bill. I started and told him that I was sorry for overreacting on Thursday, but that I felt by running away and lying to me, he had breached my trust. I told him that I felt we should break up. Boyfriend agreed with me. He apologized for everything he did, for missing Valentine's Day, for running away all weekend, for everything with Bill. He sounded sincere. He was crying. I asked him why he'd reacted the way he did. You guys who said he was in a relationship with Bill were right. You can say I told you so, I suppose. According to him, he and Bill fooled around. His words, not mine, as kids, but stopped when my boyfriend's brother died when they were 17. He said they were not involved since then, but were just close friends. He said that things developed after Bill moved back in with us, but that it was never his intention, and that's not why Bill moved in with us. He claims he did not have sex with Bill while he was living with us, but that they did things this weekend. I don't know if that's true, though I doubt they could have been hooking up a lot because our place was so small and I was usually around. He said that when I confronted Bill about moving out, Bill in turn confronted him about deciding what he wanted. He says he freaked out and that he was confused and scared and overreacted and treated me bad. He says he's not gay or bisexual and insisted that he was straight and that he'd loved me. It was an emotional conversation. We were both crying. In the end, I told him that I was going to move out and that he could stay there. It sounded like Bill was staying too. I'm staying at my sister's now with my kitty, and am going to start looking for an apartment. I'm doing okay. I'm still struggling and feel pretty horrible, but I'm starting to realize that it was probably good all of this came out before he became my husband. Thank you again for all of your help. I keep saying this, but I truly appreciate it. I know I didn't respond to everyone, but I read all your comments. I didn't see the updates for this until this last one. OP, I'm so sorry you have to experience this. Take the time off that you need for yourself. Gosh, so much pain. I'm so sorry you had to go through this, but you were so much better off. So glad you weren't married to him. I wish I could hug you. I'm so sorry. That would be so horrible, and I hope that you're doing okay and can have a couple of days for yourself. Thank you. Internet hugs and I'm hanging in there. At least you have your cat, OP. I always find that cats know when something is wrong and can help ease the pain associated with these things. Thank you. You're right. She's curled up near me now. Can't even imagine what you're feeling. My only thought is that it's good you found this out now, rather than years down the road when you were married. Still doesn't make the pain any easier, I realize. Hang in there. Better things will come your way. Thank you. I feel pretty upset right now, but you're right. Good I found out now. Posted by user Terrible Terrible Wed. Titled, My best friend, 22 female, is giving up a full ride scholarship to be with her boyfriend of less than 3 months. Throw away for anonymity reasons. My best friend has a full-ride scholarship, tuition, rent, books from our university. She's a very book-smart girl and has been on the dean's list almost every semester. This is our 3rd year of college. The issue is that she is a gullible person. Even though she's book-smart, she'll get caught up in things like multi-level marketing schemes. She will date older men who take advantage of her, many things like that. While she was home over the summer, she and her old high school crush, 20 male, started hanging out. At the end of the summer, he officially asked her to be his girlfriend. I like the guy, and I think he's better for her than her past flings, but they are getting very serious very fast. Last month, she told me she was thinking about transferring to his university. I told her that was ridiculous, as she would give up her scholarship and have to take out loans. Turns out she applied to transfer anyway. Today, she got her acceptance notice and couldn't be more excited. I've already told her that this is a bad idea, but she is so gullible, and her mother is the same way. Her mum thinks this is true love. 2 small-town lovebirds crossing paths again. My roommate keeps saying that this is just like her parents' romance, and she needs to give this relationship everything. Oh, her parents are divorced, by the way. Is there anything I can say or do to help her reconsider? I've already voiced my opinions once, and it didn't do anything. If it were me, I would definitely try and intervene where I could in person and with that girl's parents. It may be too late for changing it at this point, unfortunately, and changing her mind seems near impossible. This is one of those cases where you don't realize what you had till it's gone, and I think this girl is in for a very, very rude awakening when she comes out on the other side of all of this. As tragic as it is to watch these things happen, sometimes people just have to learn the hard way, I guess. Now in the comments, Miss Trixie says, "While your friend is clearly making a bad decision, it's her bad decision to make. If you feel you must, have another talk with her, but it sounds like it's going to fall on deaf ears. Her mother sure is a piece of work, good grief." As depressing as it may seem, I don't think that there is much that you can say or do to change her mind. Maybe point out that if it is true love, it can wait until she graduates, and that this is a decision that will affect her for a long time, regardless of how long the relationship lasts. She has a full-ride scholarship. Does she have a job? Does she have a job set up where she's moving? Does she realize that financial aid is a PITA, and she may have to end up paying for books and stuff out of pocket? Does she realize how expensive those books are? The commenters are right in that it's her decision, but maybe giving her some cold hard facts, have a receipt for textbooks, I'm sure you can find one, will make her rethink. This seems like the best chance of working, asking why she doesn't think her true love could make it long distance. Honestly, this is the kind of thing where you just need to let it play out. You've already voiced your concerns, that's the best you can do sometimes. If you push harder, then you'll only be pushing her away. Besides, who are you to say that this won't work out well in the long run? And OP replies, "It's not that I think they won't work out. They might, and I'd be very happy. It's the fact that she'll be giving up her full scholarship to go. And no, her family can't afford it. When we talked to her about transferring, she mentioned that even if she got a transfer student scholarship, she'd have to take out $20,000 to $30,000 in loans. It's an out-of-state school. Her mum is willing to co-sign because true love, but I think that if it is true love, they can wait another year until she graduates. Then again, I might not be able to do anything. I at least want to sit her down one more time, so I feel like I did everything I could if this blows up. Why can't he transfer to her school? She shouldn't get into the habit of being the only one to sacrifice in a relationship. If she is as gullible as you say, she needs someone who is a giver, not a taker. It's ultimately her life, though. If she values love more so than financial advantages, then that's her call to make. I agree with your assessment, but if I were you, I would respect your friend's wishes, however much I detest it. The role of a great friend is to give advice and support, even when they don't take your advice. And OP replies, I'm definitely going to talk to her again, but I will have to support her if she chooses to follow him. Thanks. You don't have to support her if you don't want to. Maybe try approaching her, saying that if it is true love, they'll still be together if they wait it out and do the long distance for the remaining 2 years. That's when someone really loves you. They support doing what's best for you, even if it means that they can't be near each other 24/7. Finishing university where she is would give them both a better start at their life together if it isn't started with debt. And now on to the update. So, just found this throwaway account and thought that I should give an update. My friend and I are now 25, and we're still close. She did transfer schools and lose her scholarship. She also graduated late because of the transfer. In all, it cost her more than $30,000 in student loans, which she regrets. Things did not work out between her and her boyfriend. He really wanted to live a party boy lifestyle with her at home to cook and clean up after him. They broke up 1 year after she transferred. She still had a semester left, which was really difficult and lonely because she had no friends aside from him and his social circle. After graduation, she got a job as a teacher in her hometown. So she does have a way to pay back the loans. She's pretty happy. She's now engaged to a different guy that she started dating around 2 years ago. They got together right after she moved home. Yes, it's fast, but they live together with no issues. They aren't going to start planning a wedding until the pandemic eases up. She's less gullible now and more skeptical of her mum's advice. Her experience really opened her eyes to the consequences of her choices. TLDR, my friend learned an expensive lesson, but her life turned out okay. She ended up where she probably would have if she didn't transfer, but $30,000 in a hole. She'll be the first to tell you to prioritize your future over a short-term relationship. Now in the comments, Plenty PK says, my college roommate did the same thing with full ride for grad school. Star-crossed reconnection with a hometown guy and everything. Surprise, didn't work out either. I did the exact opposite. I accepted a great job at a prestigious national lab because my boyfriend of 4+ years worked there. We dated for 2 more years and then broke up. I used the papers I wrote there to propel me into a well-respected PhD program, working for the top guy in my field, who remains my mentor today. Said no one ever. I'm glad it all worked out for her, OP, but that last comment made me laugh too hard. No kidding, turning down a full scholarship for a boyfriend isn't the smartest move. I was against it the whole time. I was worried I'd lose her friendship over it, but she respected my honesty. Lol, I know you were. Most people with common sense wouldn't have approved of what she did, especially for true love that just couldn't wait a year, hence why the last sentence was so funny. We know it was stupid. It was said about her 3 years ago. It's said every damn day to a new person on this site. The fact that the mum actually encouraged her to do this, it's the kind of thing you might expect from a 22-year-old, but not an adult woman with grown children. But the 22-year-old in this story is exactly what you'd expect if they were raised by an adult woman who would encourage something like this. Lol. I guess she had to get it from somewhere. The mum probably was the exact same, but just never grew out of it and raised her daughter that way too. Did her mum ever admit that it was a mistake to pour romantic comedy nonsense into her daughter's head? I'm still not her mum's biggest fan, no. She's all into the romantic comedy nonsense with my friend's new relationship too, but my friend has stronger boundaries now and throws most of her mum's advice out the window. That her mum even suggested that made me wonder if the mum wanted to live vicariously through her daughter. That is the best lesson of all. Her mum likely will be in her life unless they have a falling out. Learning your parents aren't always right, and to take advice with a grain of salt is valuable. Posted by user Lil M's Metalhead, titled, My friend, 27 female, has been actively avoiding me, 30 female, and I don't know what to do about it. I want to protect my feelings, but I don't want to be dismissive of her mental health issues. This is a non-romantic post. Background. I met B about 3 years ago. She is married to my husband's best friend. She has a history of mental issues and has experienced a lot of loss in her early life, as well as eating disorders and extreme anxiety about being abandoned. She hasn't had much luck with therapy or with psychiatrists. Until the last few months, we talked frequently and spent time with each other at times, but never outside of the range of our husband's inner circle. She's always gave off a friendly vibe, telling me that she loves me like family and we always supported each other. B has been distant lately. Her depression has been taking over every aspect of her life. I would check in on her once a week to see how she was doing. The pandemic hasn't made things better, especially since we both work at local hospitals. She went radio silent after my birthday, last June, and I haven't been able to talk to her since. I've been pretty patient. I texted her, reacted to her social media, and sent her messages. No response. I asked her if she honestly wants to be friends with me because I want to be friends with her. Haven't had any responses. Her husband would initially give me excuses like she never has her phone on her. And later, it became, well, you asked her about how she's doing a lot and that upsets her. I decided to start changing my attempts to start a conversation, like sending photos of my pets and telling her other small things. If she is having a huge mental health crisis, I empathize. However, she hasn't responded to me at all in a month's time. I don't know what to do because I don't want to just show up to her house or send her a card in the mail. What should I do? TLDR, B has been ignoring me for a month, and her husband has been giving me mixed signals as to why. She has a history of mental illness, so she could be in a dark place, but I feel that she's flat out ignoring me. Should I cut the cord or try harder? Now in the comments, Cryptozoikin says, "You have already made it clear that you care about her well-being. Probably best to back off now and let her contact you when she is ready." And OP replies, "Thank you. She may not initiate contact with me or desire to reach out, but I'm okay with that." And BeepBoop15 says, "This resonates with me so much. I, 24 female, made a post about it a while ago, in which I've been ghosted by my best friend of more than 6 years for a year now. Literally just no responses to any message or call or anything. Her family just tells me she's been busy with work, but I know she suffers from heavy depression just like your friend, and had told me before disappearing that she was feeling like the worst she's ever felt. So I know it has to do with her mental health, but it just hurts so much being ignored. And I tried different approaches like you, and I actually did send her a card through the mail for Christmas, and nothing. I finally just sent her one last long text message a month ago saying that I loved her, but I needed to let her go for my own good, but that I would be here with open arms if she ever decided to come back. I still mourn our friendship. So I definitely feel you and truly hope that your friend starts feeling better and will eventually reach out to you again." And OP replies, "Thank you. I know it is likely that she won't reach out again, but I go to therapy regularly, so I'm hoping to make peace with it." And now on to the update. It's been over 6 months since this issue initially started. Turns out, B was upset with me because I sent her too many videos from other pages of cute animals on social media, and it was overwhelming her. I think this was more of a breaking point issue, probably due to my excessive friendliness. Instead of hearing this from her, I heard this from her husband. She wanted to resolve things with me, but her husband also talked her out of doing that, out of fear of her being mean to me. My husband and B's husband are close friends, so this has complicated things some. I am mildly annoyed that so much drama transpired over something that could have been easily discussed. However, everything I know about what she said and how she feels, I have heard from others, mainly her husband. I empathize because I fear confrontation, but if she had been upfront with this, my feelings would be fine. Now my feelings are hurt, and I have been self-isolating so I don't upset others. Thankfully, I'm seeing my therapist more often to deal with this because I have this lingering feeling of bothering others, and now it's just amplified. I know it's not an exciting update, but I'm just baffled with how everything turned out. Edit. I haven't spoken to her since my initial post 6 months ago, and have not attempted to. I don't plan on rekindling a friendship either, because her husband said she doesn't want to reconcile. Now in the comments, the penultimate Rollo says, I know I've felt like, does anyone actually like me? Am I just annoying and someone they tolerate? To be honest, no matter what the mental health issue, she and her husband have handled this shockingly bad. I would just stop communicating with her on a personal level and demote her to the kind of a colleague level. Like, enjoy chatting at group gatherings, but maybe don't bother letting her into the emotional level. I have a friend that I do this with, and it's so much better now. I get to enjoy some fun stuff, but have no expectations or disappointment. I'm sorry though, it totally sucks. And OP replies, my husband and I agree that this situation was handled badly. B's husband is aware that it wasn't handled well either, but he never talks about her to my husband. She has me blocked on social media, and most likely her phone, so I cannot reach out to her. I'm handling it as best as I can. I'm just struggling with being punished for something that should not have become a problem. I think you need to reframe this in your head because, from an outsider's perspective, you've lost nothing. This isn't punishment. This is the profound gift of freedom from a friendship that has been toxic for a long time. Okay, she beat you to pulling the plug, but thank goodness it's over now. Keep reminding yourself of this. Focus on the positives of no longer having to deal with her issues. Nourish friendships that elevate you and reciprocate your efforts and care. Consider evaluating your other friendships to really decide if they are mutually satisfying. Above all, mental health issues do not give you license to take things out on friends and loved ones. Turf.com says, if she gets overwhelmed by that, I don't think she's mentally stable enough to maintain friendships. It wouldn't be good for the health of the person on the receiving end of her instability. If I were you, I'd decline having regular contact with her for now. Keep your distance. Only be open to a potential friendship once she's acknowledged her issues and has them under control, if you still want to be friends by then. Seriously, I can only imagine the amount of friends she's unfollowed and muted on social media without telling them, hey, you're upsetting me / pissing me off. She's a bit in need of therapy. Right? I'm actually furrowing my brow thinking, she's ignoring you because of sending pictures of cute animals? I can't even begin to understand that thought process. I mean, it depends on how many cute animal photos. I love a good cat picture, but if someone was sending me multiples an hour all day, every day, that would be too much. It sounds like OP had already been overwhelming her. Then B was trying to withdraw and get some space. By OP's own admission in her first post, she switched to the animal video tactic after a bunch of other methods didn't work. So they weren't exactly innocently sent videos in excitement, but a deliberate, if well-meaning, manipulation method in trying to get B to talk to her again. Neither of them handled this well. B should have stated her need for space, but OP should have taken the hint and given it to her a long time ago. Boundary stomping with friendliness is still boundary stomping, and in a lot of ways, sucks more than the stomper being flat out mean, because it does put B into the position of being the one who looks and feels irrational for telling someone sending cute animal pictures and nice behavior is a problem. Which means any outsiders react like this thread here if OP recounts the story. Obvious pushy behavior that OP admits to gets overlooked because, wow, who has a problem with getting cute animal pictures? What a whack job. And OP replies to that saying, I am well aware that I could have pushed her away with being overwhelmingly friendly. With that being said, the fact that it took several months for me to find out what I did is really upsetting. You say she could have just told you and you wouldn't have been hurt, but your reaction to learning one person felt overwhelmed is to completely self-isolate yourself so you don't ruin every other relationship in your life by acting overwhelmingly friendly. That's a pretty dramatic response, and not the actions of someone who other people can easily just talk to or set boundaries with. Are you generally prone to self-destructive behavior when someone upsets you? Because it sounds like it from your current reaction, and B's worry that talking to you would hurt you. And OP replies, I used to participate in that kind of behavior, but that was many years ago. I still work on myself daily, and I still go to therapy. I know looking back on this, there are ways that I could have handled it better, and I'm working on myself every day to avoid isolating myself. Posted by user ThrowRA Am I Dumb or What? Titled, My boyfriend cheated in his past relationship and made me feel bad about being shocked. Hi y'all, I'm in a very sticky situation. I'm reposting this as I didn't get that much feedback last time, and I'm honestly going to meet up with him later on today to break up with him over this. I just don't want to feel like I'm making a major mistake and want to hear from as many of you as possible. Background. My boyfriend, let's call him Dan, cheated in one of his past relationships, and I only found out about it last night. When he was 18, he got into a relationship with a girl, let's call her Betty, who had a very, very difficult home situation. His parents are very strictly religious, and so the only way Betty was allowed to stay over at night at his parents' home was if they got married. Fast forward 2 years, Betty, over time, also became very religious, and they had lost all feelings for each other, although she became more integrated into his family and his religious community. They had discussed that their relationship probably wouldn't last, but due to Betty becoming a part of his family and her home situation, he felt he couldn't end it and send her back to that. He downloaded dating apps and started seeing someone else. Let's call her Emma. Betty only found out about it when she went through his phone. They got divorced when he was 20, and he continued his relationship with Emma. Fast forward to now. Dan has a friend who has been using the dating apps whilst his girlfriend was abroad. We found out about it, and Dan had a chat with his friend where he told him to either break up with his girlfriend or get off the apps. We had a chat about it later, and I called his friend a dirty dog, and Dan said, you know, it's terrible. We all knew he had his attachment issues, and he's been through a lot in life. I told Dan that had pissed me off. There is no justification, attachment issues or not. And Dan then said, you know, I've cheated in the past. Does that mean I'm undeserving of this relationship? I was told when we first started dating almost 2 years ago that he had cheated. When I probed further, he told me the relationship had ended and she knew I was seeing someone else, but I started seeing her before the divorce was final. He is adamant he's told me before, and he has definitely alluded to it, but I didn't probe further as I took his word for it ages ago. So, I was damn horrified when he explained what had actually happened. I was so effing shocked and surprised. It's only when thinking about it now that it makes sense. I told him, okay, so when the going gets tough, are you going to download Tinder? It makes so much sense now that you've given the reasoning behind your friend's actions, just as you've done for yourself. If you can rationalize it once, you can rationalize it again. He became extremely defensive and got angry at me. I asked him how long he was dating Emma for while he was with Betty, and he told me that doesn't concern me or our relationship. I asked him if he was sleeping with the two at the same time. He told me he was shocked that I could even ask him something like that. What a crude and disgusting question. Of course not. He said he was a kid then. I said wrong. You were 20, that's not even that long ago. He then decided to give me the silent treatment for a few hours before we spoke about it again. He told me that he put so much into this relationship, and I completely disregard everything. How I just speak to him without thinking about my words, making him feel crappy, and that I am disgusting for even questioning his loyalty to me. We didn't stop arguing until I apologized to him and told him that I would stop thinking about everything in such a black and white way. I was extremely apologetic for questioning his commitment to our relationship and said I would stop self-sabotaging this relationship. I really felt bad about what had happened and what I had said. We made up and he left this morning, but I still don't feel at ease. I don't think I did anything wrong. Of course I was angry, and maybe I could have asked him all those questions in a nicer manner, but the way he blew up at me and got super defensive was extreme. If I was in his position, I would be a lot more apologetic and say, I did something horrible in the past. There is no excuse for it, instead of proceeding to give loads of justifications for it. The fact that he somehow made me apologize to him is crazy to me. Like, I just can't believe it. Guys, am I crazy? TLDR, I felt like crap last night due to our arguments, like I really screwed up. Today though, I don't know how to feel. Guys, should I have not spoken to him the way that I did, or should I have not apologized? Edit. I didn't mention, but we spoke about his relationship with Betty before he told me about all the cheating. He told me he felt a strong sense of abandonment when she got on her train to go home. Just another person in his life who left him. He completely missed out that he had cheated on her, abandoning her first. Of course she was going to react like that. He made himself into such a victim, and I felt bad for him. I really did. When talking about the situation, he only spoke about himself. How hard it was for him being with someone with a crap home life, and the guilt he endured. Didn't mention how horrible she must have felt. You know, being the actual person suffering from abuse at home, and then being cheated on. Now down in the comments, CGY says, he should get an Oscar for that performance. What a master manipulator. He's the one who cheated previously, fudged the truth when he originally told you, and is still fudging the truth to this day. And now you're apologizing for making him feel crappy for his past actions that he doesn't seem to have any remorse for? Even now, it sounds like his cheating on Betty was completely justified to him. It is exactly how he would justify cheating on you, which is why he is so mad you called him out on it. No doubt, if and when he does cheat on you, he's going to blame it on you for not having complete faith in his loyalty. You were right to see him in a different light after realizing he can so easily justify what his friend is doing, because that is exactly what he would do in a similar situation. OP replies, when he cheats? No, sir, I will not be around for that. Not me. I'm trying to meet up with him today to break up after you lovely people and my flatmate slapped me back into reality. Good for you. He really got you going and had you apologizing for your moral beliefs repeatedly. Like, what the hell? And OP replies, who would have fudging thought that this crap is insidious and a lot harder to spot when you're in the relationship? Like, it's actually insane. I would read this sub and be like, duh, kick him to the curb, to so many of the posts, and now I'm here? Who would have thought? Louis King 30 says, in the moment, everybody gets defensive. However, after a while, you have to show some self-reflection too. Like you did. I don't think your boyfriend has that maturity if he doesn't see things from your perspective. Forgive me for being naive about this, but is it really everyone? I really struggle understanding this defensive reaction in others. If I did something wrong and someone calls me out on it, I usually just feel fear and shame and become silent and then simply admit to my mistakes. Is that really such a rare thing? Feeling shame is a normal adult reaction. Not feeling remorse means you are more likely to be an a-hole. And Lipstick Lemon Drop says, the fact that he cheated in a past relationship isn't the problem. I've been there, and I would never dream of doing that with my current boyfriend. He's fantastic. People change, you know. But your boyfriend lied about it. gave you different stories, made himself the victim instead of his poor ex-wife who had to endure all of that, and then got mad at you when you got upset and uncomfortable about it. And this silent treatment on top of that? Is he a child? You're totally justified in how you feel. And now on to the update. So much has happened since then. I had a chat with my friend/flatmate Tammy, who has been around him the most out of all of my friends. I told her about this situation, and she reminded me of so many awful examples of gaslighting and blatant lying that I had forgotten about. He told me he broke up with Emma and blocked her on all platforms, but a month after doing this, he wanted to give her closure, and so wrote a letter to deliver to her door. Emma happened to leave her house at that moment, saw him, and told him that if he doesn't leave, she would call the police. We thought about it and thought, come on now. For her to react like that, he must have done something to her. I went and broke up with him that same day, but didn't give him any reasoning. Just said that I was unhappy, and he didn't question me. He said he was unhappy too, and also wanted to break up. It was maybe a 5-minute conversation at most. I went back home and had some drinks with Tammy, and we thought, screw it, might as well shoot Emma a message because I'm drunk and curious. I spoke to Emma the next day, and I'm honestly so heartbroken and disgusted with myself that this is the man I was in love with for a year and a half when he's actually textbook psychopath and narcissist. I'm going to list what I found out from Emma because it is too damn long. 1. She was passed out one night after partying and came to with him on top of her. She asked him to stop and he didn't, and said that he was about to finish. I thought, thank Christ I've never blacked out in front of him, forgetting about this one time last year. It was after a New Year's Eve party, and I don't remember anything beyond the bar. He had to drag me home. I was in such a state that I was puking on public transport. When I woke up, I still had my contacts in and my jumper on, but skirt and tights were removed. He asked me about the sex we had last night, and I was just like, what are you talking about? He said, oh, sorry, I must have been dreaming. I didn't think much of it, but now I'm pretty certain about what had happened. 2. He kept forcing me to watch the series on the assassination of Versace with him, even though he'd already watched it before, and I wasn't digging the series. I told him that I didn't want to watch it anymore, and he wasn't too happy, but whatever. Before my birthday, he asked me what I thought about Versace earrings, and I thought, nope, too pricey. I'm not one for expensive jewelry, but he got it for me anyway. I spoke to Emma, and he got her the exact same thing for her birthday. But she thought it was cute because they had watched the series together and really enjoyed it. Not to mention, those earrings were fake, lol. 3. He was still with Emma when he started dating me. He was also dating another girl around the same time, so that's 3 in one go that we know of. He told me he had broken up with Emma around 4 to 5 months before we met. 4. He tried it with Emma's 17-year-old sister. 5. His poor, vulnerable ex-wife. He told Emma that Betty was a hypersexual person and that she really wanted a threesome with his dirty dog friend, and the only reason it didn't happen was because his mate chickened out. Knowing what I know, I'm sure he was pressuring her into this. 6. He told me about a house party that Emma threw and he invited one of his friends to. He told me that his friend drank too much and passed out in a garden chair in the backyard. One of Emma's friends then climbed on top of him and proceeded to take advantage of him. When I mentioned this to Emma, she burst into tears and said that it was her friend that was passed out actually, and his friend had taken advantage of her friend. There's video evidence of this, as some of her flatmates were sleazy and recorded it from an upstairs window. 7. Lying about his job title and income. I'm a student, and I was practically this F's sugar mama, even though he knew about my money problems. He was here 5 to 6 days a week and never contributed to anything. Not bills, not rent, not even my grocery shop. I was out here cooking and cleaning, being housewife because he massively exaggerated his workload and importance at his workplace. He honestly made it out like he had no free time whatsoever. My idiot self should have freaking known he was delusional when he was out here applying to senior-leveled positions without having even finished his undergrad. Oh, he also inflated his salary by 2 times. 8. He cheated on Betty all the time. 9. He had hit on one of Emma's friends and told her, "If I send you a drunk text, you know why." I was massively uncomfortable with him being around 2 of my friends. Even though I love them so damn much and trust them wholeheartedly, I felt really uncomfortable with how much attention he would give them. He made it out to me that I was being insecure and a jealous bear for no reason, but after hearing about Emma's friend, nope, none of that crap was in my head. 10. I found Emma's nudes on his phone because I searched it one day and he blew up at me. He made me feel bad for going through his phone and not trusting him. Told me it was pictures that he forgot to delete. Talking to Emma though, she said she made him delete all of those in front of her, so the expletive obviously made a backup. 11. That letter he tried to deliver? He was outside her door at 10 p.m. Emma was obviously shaken up. 10 p.m., Jesus. And 12. He was cheating on Emma the whole time too. Probably cheated on me too. There's way more that he did, but my effing god, am I a D-bag for being with that and not realizing what a loser I was with? After hearing all of this, I decided to message his sister and tell her, "Listen, I'm scared of your brother, so I will be posting his things to your house. If I ever find him outside my door, I will call the police." I also messaged his friend's girlfriend, telling her her man's on all these dating apps, and also sent her screenshots of him on these apps. He had the effing audacity to tell her he was being catfished. Sir, are you Beyonce? The hell? I tried empathizing with her and told her, listen, Dan was crazy abusive too. You just need to see the light. She only frickin' went and told him. I had him blocked on all platforms, and after hearing that I called him abusive, he messaged every single one of my friends that hadn't blocked him yet, telling them that I was acting erratic and crazy. Same way I was acting when I had a mental breakdown a while ago. He did not even know me then, so that was a chuckle and a half, and that he was really concerned about me and wanted to know why I was calling him abusive. None of them responded and blocked him immediately. I low-key felt bad about leaving him scrambling and baffled about the situation because he does not know the half of what I know. And part of me woke up today wanting to explain it all. But now, after having typed all of this out and reminded myself, nope, there is nothing more satisfying than him being stressed and confused and getting no answers in return. I love to see it. He's already on Tinder like 3 days afterwards, so he can't be that cut up. Even though in his messages to my friends, he was really sad and upset. Aw, teeny tiny violin noises. TLDR, he was crazier than I thought, and I'm just going to pretend that whole relationship never happened. An ex? Not me. I've never been in a relationship before. Now in the comments, Mr. Merb says, "Wow, bullet dodged." And OP replies, "Indeed." Don't know if you actually dodged that bullet, but at least it wasn't a fatal hit. You got out and found out what kind of scumbag he really is. I hope what you have done will prevent others to falling into his pathetic and narcissistic behavior. You're out, and good luck with your future life. And OP replies, "Gotta agree. It was my first relationship, and this is the kind of crap people deal with when they're 16 and learn from. But I'm having to find my worth at 23 years old. I honestly think if it wasn't him, I might have been taken advantage of by someone else, but it is what it is. Can't feel too bad for myself. Just gotta be glad that it was someone who couldn't even keep their story straight." Well, I'm glad you got out of this. It's an educational beatdown for sure. But you've learned and can move on and find someone that will love you for you. I hope you find the love you deserve. Stay strong. Screening relationships takes time, practice, and isn't an exact science at all. Don't be too hard on yourself, but also don't rush into relationships too fast. While your friends who have dated a lot at your age will be moving more easily through dating, don't compare yourself and your relationships to them. You're on the only had one serious relationship level of dating, not the mid-20s and well experienced in dating, know what I want and how to screen potential partners. Be gentle to yourself. Cutiefly says, "You aren't a D-bag for being with a loser like that. Anyone can be tricked and manipulated into situations that they only see later more clearly. Be kind to yourself. Not only that, but be proud of yourself for escaping that pathetic waste of air called your ex. He sounds horribly manipulative, to be honest. So good on you for getting out of that. I'm glad you're in a better place now. It can only go up from here. Take care, be safe, and whatever you do, don't ever let him near you again, or make you feel bad or guilty for this. It's never a bad thing to take care of yourself first and foremost." And OP replies, "Thank you. I really did not see anything wrong with the relationship at all while I was with him. Honestly thought I was going to marry the bear. Ugh. It really was just the lying unwarranted for no reason that made me step back and think, what the hell?" As I said in your OP, that guy was a master manipulator. Just be glad you got out relatively unscathed. Your heart may be a little bruised, but it will heal. Please make sure you get checked at the clinic. He isn't the type of guy to use condoms all the time, and even with a condom, lots of stuff is transferred in other ways. Get checked ASAP. And OP replies, "I'm definitely going to get checked, but was thinking of giving it 6 weeks, just in case he gave me a little parting gift right at the end. You should get checked now, and then have a follow-up in 6 weeks, then 6 months. Some sexually transmitted diseases and infections can be tested for almost immediately, and that 6 weeks head start on treatment can mean an awful lot. 6 weeks, then 6 months, is because some infection can take a while to reach a testable point in your body. You can test negative for HIV a couple of months after contracting it, for example." Posted by user throwaway16482900. Titled, "I found my boyfriend's engagement ring." So my boyfriend asked me to grab his Kindle from his work bag the other day, and I opened up a zipper and came across what looked like an engagement ring. He has casually brought up marriage and weddings the past couple months, saying things like, "If we get married, can we have so-and-so play our wedding?" But I took those comments as jokes, not necessarily thinking that he was thinking of proposing. I only know this is an engagement ring because it looked exactly like what I described one time. I once mentioned how I don't want a diamond because they're too expensive for my liking. And this ring was a red jewel, red is my favorite color, with a black dragon band. I am obsessed with dragons. My issue is, I'm not sure I'm ready for marriage. We currently live with my parents because we lost our jobs when the pandemic hit and couldn't afford rent. I absolutely love this man, but I have so many worries. I don't know if I'm just overthinking, especially because he hasn't proposed yet, so it's not guaranteed he will. But for some reason, whenever I think about marriage, I just get really anxious. My parents did not have a good marriage and were constantly fighting, so I think I'm letting my worries of a failed marriage prevent me from being happy about this. Just gonna put this out there, getting engaged doesn't mean getting married immediately. You could be engaged 5 years before even thinking about planning a wedding, or even longer. I have a friend who has been engaged since 2001. Not a typo, 2001. My hubby's aunt was engaged for 50 years. At that point, at least one of them doesn't actually want to get married. Marriage doesn't mean wedding. They could have gone to the court and gotten all the legal benefits by now. Edit, I'm referring to this comment about a couple waiting 20 plus years to get married without filing any legal partnership. I'm getting replies about common law marriages and 3-year engagements that do not apply here. Blue Moon Teen says, I actually think it's a really good thing your boyfriend was nonchalant about it. It shows that he's thinking about this and has made up his mind that you are the right person. That being said, you also have to process this. Being engaged doesn't always mean straight to marriage. It could take days, weeks, months, years, etc. I think if you want your marriage to be successful, a plan will always help out to put things into perspective and motion. A plan is a good idea. Thank you. I like the idea of a longer engagement. At least it would give us time to get our stuff together and once again get our own place. My husband and I were engaged for 2.5 years before we just went ahead and had a courthouse wedding. We took our time to get to the right times in our lives. There is no need to rush, but don't wait 10 years either. Even if they did wait 10 years, what difference does it make if they're happy? I guess it is okay, but one does start to wonder if marriage is on the cards at all. Having said that, of course marriage isn't necessary. I know couples who have been together for decades and going strong without signing papers. If you're worried about him proposing when you aren't ready, bring up the timeline you want for engagement and marriage and what needs to happen for you to be comfortable with those steps. After 2 years with my boyfriend at the time, we were on a trip and I brought up how I wasn't ready for marriage until we had stable jobs. Unbeknownst to me, he had a placeholder ring on him just in case the time was right. He decided to wait. Now we're engaged at 3 years together, and because we finally got stable jobs. Just let him know how you feel. Ages? Are you going to want to marry him eventually? If the answer is yes, I would opt for a long engagement. If you turn him down, he might propose again. If the answer is no, please, please, please don't get engaged if you don't mean it. You will cause pain. If you truly are not sure whether you'll ever marry this guy, just tell him you found it and you're not sure if you want to get married. You'll save him the embarrassment of proposing before you're ready. And OP replies, I'm 22 and he is 25. I definitely see myself with him in the long run. I just have so many bad thoughts about marriage due to my parents. OP, my fiancé and I are the same way. Both of ours divorced multiple times and very messy. We did individual and doing couples counseling to work through it. It's been very helpful. It helped us to learn what a good marriage should be and how to act, which is difficult when you've never had positive examples. And now on to the update. He ended up proposing to me 2 days ago, and I said yes. After sharing a wonderful day celebrating and telling our family, I talked to him about my hesitancy and my worries of marriage. He was so nice about it, and said we could take this engagement as long as I want, and that he was just happy to have made that commitment with me. So yeah, thanks again everyone. Congratulations. I'm really glad you told him about how you were feeling about marriage. I had similar anxieties about the institution itself based on my parents' horrible divorce and the subsequent damage they both did on my brother and I. It's something that I was so worried about and felt like we had to have all our issues sorted out before the wedding day. Turns out, what we really needed was therapy, me, and communication, both of us. So I did that, and we talked about things, and worked on how to argue in healthy ways, and how to support each other even when things got hard. We were engaged for 2 years, and have been married for 4. My marriage isn't perfect, but we love each other, and we're committed to choosing each other every day, and on knowing we're imperfect, and working on things when we need to. So keep talking to him, and about how you're feeling, and if it feels right, maybe consider some therapy so you can process your own feelings about it. It did wonders for me. As a quick reminder, you being engaged does not mean you have to get married in a specific time frame, but people will keep asking when the wedding is. Keep that in mind. And congratulations, OP. May your marriage be long and happy. The answer to that could be as soon as when we're ready and can afford it. Also, another good answer might be when the pandemic restrictions are relaxed a bit and we can have a good party. Posted by user Treyway Incel BRT, titled, My brother is an incel, and I fear for the security of my friend and I, 16 female, have a brother, 17, who is an incel. I discovered this years ago when I used his PC because mine was broken. He had left his Reddit page open, and I snooped. I know I shouldn't, but I'm glad I did, and at the same time, I wish I hadn't. Seeing the things he had posted or commented/interacted were disgusting. I don't wish to repeat it, but it was hardcore incel crap. I had never noticed this kind of behavior with him, so I really wanted it to be a troll. But to this day, he is still frequently posting terrible stuff there, so I guess he isn't just a very dedicated troll. I know this because after discovering his Reddit username, I decided to create an account and keep an eye on him. Last year, I even started fearing him when he interacted with something about girls having to lose their V-card to their family members, and there was some nasty incest things in the comments. From that moment on, I started locking my bedroom door and not going out with him anymore. The problem starts now. My friend A, 17 female, has a lot of problems at home, and is very close to my mother who also has depression. They spend a lot of time talking about their problems, and she is considered basically her second daughter. She was recently kicked out of the house and is staying with us. My mum, being an essential worker, spends all day working and sometimes doesn't even come home, but she makes sure to get us some food and money. I've been noticing that my brother has been talking with A lot. It makes a little bit of sense since they share a lot of interests. A is basically a cosplayer, goth chick, loves games and animes. I'm not into any of those things, so they spend time together and it wouldn't be something bad. But I have seen him posting a lot about how he has the perfect female sleeping on next door, and bragging to his friends about it. Like I said, I never noticed incel behavior in him. He can hide it well enough. I honestly don't know how a guy like him turned into something like that. He goes out with some friends, went to parties, had a girlfriend for some time, and can socialize pretty well. A doesn't seem to notice it either, and telling her or my mum about it is not an option since they already have enough problems to deal with. I don't feel like making A think her only safe place now isn't so safe, or making my mum stress over my brother. Recently, I've noticed him talking about stealing clothes from A in his posts, and since her laundry is ours now, it was a pretty easy thing to do. I decided to ask A how many clothes she brought with her, and when she said the numbers and I checked it, some of her underwear weren't there. Later, guess who posted about stolen panties? I honestly don't know what to do. I've already started doing the laundry fast so he doesn't get a chance to steal. She sleeps with me with the door locked and is never alone with him. Is there something more for me to do? He posts a lot about owning virginity and sex to women. What if he tries something? Should I confront him? And in the comments, Thrillsy says, "Tell your mother." Your brother is a damn near an adult and is old enough to know that kinda crap he's posting online is absolutely disgusting. He's also old enough to know that stealing your friend's underwear is wrong. If I was your friend and I found out what your brother was doing and then found out that you knew and didn't tell me or your mother, I would feel absolutely betrayed and like I couldn't trust you because you withheld information that I could have used to help keep myself safe. You owe it to your friend to tell her. You owe it to your friend to tell your mother. You are not keeping her safe by keeping this information secret. You are not doing her any favors by confronting your brother. In fact, in confronting your brother, you might just give him a heads up to hide the evidence better in case you tell your mother. You are not doing your mother or brothers any favors by not telling your mother. In fact, if what you were so worried about him doing does come to pass, then your mother will have a lot more to worry about than if you do tell her. If you don't tell her, she can't do anything to protect you or A, and she can't do anything to try and help your brother stop this disgusting behavior. If you do tell her, she can protect you and A, and she can at least try to help your brother change his behavior. It will be up to him to truly change. It cannot be forced. This is kind of a big deal. Let your mother know. It's not for you to decide what she can or can't handle. She may surprise you. She may also be able to steer or force your brother into dealing with this in therapy. If you confront your brother, he will just hide his behavior better, so maybe reconsider. This is, quite frankly, terrifying. I doubt he'd go as far as to harm either of you, but he should get help for even having this mentality in the first place. Depending on how close you guys are, I say either very gently confront him about it, or talk to your mother about how your brother has been acting weird, maybe without giving her the full scoop. And OP replies, I don't feel worried too much about myself, to be honest. I can defend myself pretty fine, since I'm stronger and know how to fight. But seeing his frequent posts about A has made me very aware and scared. I think confronting him may be the only solution, but I also fear what he may do. He's normally a pretty calm guy, but just like the incel stuff, I don't know exactly if it's his true self. First thing you do is document every horrible thing he's said, screenshots and such, with metadata included. Then save it to a password-protected account in the cloud. Then sit down with your mother and show it to her and explain the situation if she doesn't understand Reddit or incel culture. Then ask what she wants you to do. I understand you not wanting to burden her, but this is literally her job as your mother. She literally signed up for this. You can also suggest that the two of you confront him together, and you should insist to her that she get therapy. And also, I see. Well, if you can take care of yourself, then definitely confront him. But I'll advise you to be very calm and collected about it. Try not to antagonize him. Hope it all goes well. I'm pretty invested and worried. And OP says, I think I will. My mother always offered us mental help with therapists and stuff like that, which we both go to. I guess it's something he could talk about with his. And there's an update in the post. Update. I talked to him. I got anxious of all the answers and decided to talk to him since this wasn't a matter to do later. I already had screenshots and other stuff from his Reddit, so yes, the proof is safe. It may not be the correct action, but honestly, I don't care. I confronted him in the most calm way possible. He looked extremely shook, and when I started showing him the stuff I had collected from 2 years back, including the underwear bragging, he started to cry. It was the most stressed I had seen my brother in years, pulling his hair and yelling that he is disgusting on the ground. Honestly, I wasn't expecting all of this. After a lot of yelling, he calmed down, and I started to ask why he did all of this, and why he was crying too. You may call me a hypocrite, but he's still my brother. I'll ask people to stop sending me messages telling me to kill myself because I'm enabling a predator, or that I'm lying because I'm jealous of their relationship. I'll keep it short since I just want to sleep now and not think about anything. He was taken advantage of. He said his girlfriend took advantage of him when they're together and had pictures. He showed me their messages of her blackmailing him of a lot of stuff. They used to do sports together, and that's why he quit. He didn't want to tell me and our mum because he thought we wouldn't care. He went to the internet and has vented there since then. He knew it was wrong, and he doesn't believe in those morals. He gave me back the underwear, and it was untouched. I said we had to talk to our mother, and he started having another panic, but agreed if I didn't tell everything. He will search for help. Thank you for the most of you who didn't tell me terrible stuff. Good night. And now on to the actual update. So a bunch of things happened after I made my first post, and honestly, after all the people harassing me and my family in messages, I really thought about just solving it and deleting this account. But I feel like I owe to some people who were actually helpful, and not just saying, you and your brother should be killed. Anyway, to the events that happened after my brother told me he was taken advantage of by his ex, we told our mum and my friend, which by the way, he apologized by himself before we even said anything. My mum was shocked. She didn't know if she felt disgusted or angered. She beat my brother pretty bad. Even though we tried to hold her back after she read all the disgusting things he posted, but later she broke down. She apologized. She really was sorry, and my brother accepted the apology. My friend decided she would still stay with us since she was also a victim of abuse and felt connected to my brother. Honestly, I feel like my brother is once again with me. We also discovered he had tried to off himself a lot of times, which was more heartbreaking and scary since we never knew about that and probably wouldn't be able to do anything. He started doing therapy with a different psychologist and seems to be improving. My mother already filed the papers to go to court against his ex, with all the blackmailing and stuff she sent him as proof. It's a lot of information, and I know that, and thank you to those who have helped. I won't be active here again. Bye. I'm sorry, did you say your mother beat your brother? So much she had to be physically pulled off him? Are we just meant to gloss over your minor brother being physically assaulted here and act like this is a happy ending? Bruh, that one little piece tells me there is a crap ton of info we are missing. My mother was hardly a winner as a single mum, but even she wouldn't have beat me so bad, someone had to pull her off. I wish I could talk to this young man. I get the feeling he isn't an incel. Yeah, so you just brushed off the whole your mum beating your brother thing? It sounds like your whole family needs therapy because none of what you said is healthy behavior. You guys need a social worker because you have an extremely screwed up family life. As a social worker, I'm not taking this one. Eek. And for professional reasons, this is a joke, and I would not turn away an actual client with this situation. Posted by user Disgusted1424. Titled, Married Friend, 26 Female, Can't Stop Talking About My, 27 Female, Ex-Boyfriend. So I've known her since we were in grade 4. We lived in the same neighborhood and went to the same school. We were good friends till high school and eventually drifted apart. My best friend and she used to go to the same college and used to tell me how she was clingy with a guy even though she had a boyfriend who went to a different college. I kept away from her and thought that I would never be in touch with her, but we were friends on Facebook. I finished college and moved to a different country when I learned her father had passed away. I felt really bad and reached out to her. She mentioned she was also moving to the country, and we decided to meet up. My boyfriend and I met her for lunch, and eventually my boyfriend and her husband became friends. I broke up with my boyfriend, and she said how she would have gone after my ex if only she wasn't married because he's really cute. I told her what he did to me, but it made no difference to her. She had plans of meeting my ex out for dinner and invited me out too. I stopped hanging out with her after that. She kept messaging me to meet quite a few times, and I kept making excuses. I finally caved in and planned a dinner with her for today, but she wouldn't stop talking about my ex, telling me how he's one of her close friends and how they keep sending each other Snapchats, like it was a big deal for her. It felt really annoying. I cut the dinner short and headed home. I don't want to be friends with her anymore. How should I tell her that I don't want to be friends with her without hurting her feelings? How do I stay away from her? TLDR, married friend became close friends of my ex after we broke up and keeps talking about him every time we meet. If it was me personally, I'd tell them that their obsession with their ex is crossing boundaries of her own relationships, or just relationship, and definitely the relationship between them and I. Like if it was me, I would want to move on from this person because obviously what the ex did was unacceptable, and the fact that this friend doesn't see that and or get affected by it speaks volumes of their character. It shows me that they lack empathy for you, OP, and they would rather that you just continue be cool with whatever the hell is going on between them and, keep facilitating it. That's not someone worth sticking around for. I'd say make your feelings known and cut them off, OP. Now in the comments, DwyU says, Girl, you're still worried about sparing her feelings after all of this? Just be honest with her that the way she acts with you is unacceptable and you're not interested in continuing this friendship. It also sounds like she's having an emotional affair with OP's ex and only wants OP there to make it less affairy. Or make it more of a trophy. Yeah, it seems like she really wants to rub it in OP's face that she's such good friends with him. I wonder how her husband would feel, or if he even knows about this guy. My initial thought: if I ever heard my significant other say, "Man, if I was single, 1,000 times I would have dumped his ass so quick." The ex and the friend's husband are actually friends now. Big yikes. Definitely amps up the cringe factor of what the frenemy keeps saying. Do you want to say something to her? Because I would just ghost her. She's not your friend, she's likely having an affair with your ex and is trying to throw it in your face. She only wants you to come around if he's around as an excuse for her husband. Cut ties and move on. I wish I could upvote this more than once. You're totally right. Not to mention OP talks about telling her friend what he did to her, which is never a good thing. Her friend betrayed her after she had all the facts and still pursued some kind of relationship with him and expected her to just go along with it. Honestly, OP, you should tell her husband that something fishy is going on and then tell her that she is not your friend anymore because she clearly doesn't respect people beyond her own gain. I know you can't tell people who to be friends with, but someone who cozies up to your pain and rubs salt in the wound isn't a friend. Say something like, "I respect and care for you, but think we've had boundary problems recently." Poop face is still a sore subject to me after the way he treated me. I've made that clear, but you continue to disrespect both your husband and me, speaking about him in a way that I find inappropriate. I care for you, but think it would be best if we took some time apart for now. And OP updates their post. Update. Thank you all so much. Such amazing support and helping me see through things. I sent her a message saying how uncomfortable last night was for me, that it was not right for her to rub her friendship with him in my face, and how it felt like she valued her relationship with my ex more than our friendship. I told her I can't dictate who she can be friends with, but that I cannot be friends with someone who's a close friend of that one person who messed me up mentally and emotionally. I wished her the best and blocked her from everywhere. Posted by user Involuntary. Titled, I, 22 female, cannot keep myself from crying during arguments with my boyfriend, 27 male. Boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years in March. Generally, we have a good relationship. I've never felt so comfortable around someone. He's supportive of my goals and I am supportive of his. However, we fight maybe once a month. Sometimes more, sometimes much less, usually because I voice a concern and then he gets defensive and sarcastic. For example, once at the start of our relationship, he invited me over. When I got there, he said, "I'm going to finish up this game," of a MOBA, and then proceeded to play 4 more, which were 1 hour each, while I sat on his couch and watched 2 movies on my own. He didn't even bother to come talk to me between games or anything. I was so shell-shocked that I didn't say anything until we were getting ready for bed, and at that point, I laid my concerns on the table and told him I didn't appreciate that he left me alone to play video games without even checking in with me. He took issues with the phrase "checking in," telling me it sounded like something his mom would say. From there, I started crying. He got defensive, etc., and we eventually agreed to communicate better. We just don't, though. I try so hard. When I have issues with what he's doing, I no longer say something along the lines of, "You did XYZ," or "You're rude," or anything really accusatory. I always take a lot of care to bring things up using I statements. I feel hurt when you cancel established plans on me last minute because I need to feel like a priority, etc. But the problem persists. I voice a concern, he gets defensive and sarcastic, And eventually we get to a point where it feels like we're talking in circles because how can he not understand? To make matters worse, as time goes on, I just find it harder and harder to stop myself from breaking down into tears right off the bat. I cry earlier and easier now. Now, I do not cry to be manipulative. I just can't help it. I know it makes things worse though. I'm worried he thinks I'm doing it to be manipulative. I know it frustrates him, and what the hell? It frustrates me too. I don't want to cry. I don't want to seem unhinged or not in control of my emotions, but the truth is that I just cannot seem to keep control of my emotions anymore. This weekend, we were driving to pick up ice cream. I was driving, I have a tendency to park close to the curb, and he always expresses concern for my hubcaps as a result. This time, as I was leaving the spot, he put his hands up and said, "I don't know why you did that." Because apparently I wasn't leaving the spot correctly? I didn't hit the curb, I didn't hit the car in front of me or behind me. I pulled out into the street without incident. But he thought I was doing it wrong, for whatever reason, and felt the need to comment on it flippantly. I said nothing. I was in a noticeably worse mood, and he asked if everything was okay. In stereotypical angry girlfriend fashion, I said, "I'm fine." He said it didn't seem like I was. In all honesty, I shut down like this because I find myself trying to pick the right words to say without just letting my emotions speak for me. I'm slow at communicating when I'm upset as a result. After a few moments, I said, "I didn't appreciate it when you criticized me for the way I left that spot." He said, "Well, I'm just worried about your hubcaps." I said, "My hubcaps are fine. Nothing happened, right?" He said, "If you'd gone a little further, you would have scraped them." I started tearing up at this point. Why? I said, clearly choked up, "I've been driving us around all day and offered to drive to get ice cream because I know you don't like driving. I don't know why you feel the need to criticize me." He could tell I was crying, so he said, "What the hell?" And the thing is, Reddit, on one hand, I just wish he would be a little bit more understanding and maybe offer the occasional apology. He never apologizes beyond, "I'm sorry you feel that way." But on the other hand, I really hate that I cry, especially over something as small as this. I think it makes things so much worse. How the heck do I keep my cool when I'm talking to someone who is stubborn, defensive, and sarcastic though? Especially when they're the person I love. TLDR, my boyfriend has a tendency to be sarcastic and defensive when we argue, and as a result, I cry. Crying frustrates me and makes things worse. What's the best way to voice my concerns to someone who is stubborn? And what's the best way to keep my cool? Now in the comments, RedBoot77 says, "He sounds like an a-hole. He's not considerate of your time or your feelings. Doubtful that he will change, and you are too young to continue being stuck in a one-sided relationship." I was worried about this. Obviously I want to believe things will get better, but it's been 2 years of this, and I'm sick of crying because my boyfriend can't just say, "I'm sorry, I'll work on this with you." At some point, you need to decide when enough is enough. I went through a similar experience with my girlfriend. We started dating pretty young, and I simply hadn't developed the kind of emotional maturity and emotional expressiveness necessary for a serious relationship with her. But she voiced her concerns, we discussed them, and I worked on being more conscious of how she was feeling and being better about expressing how I felt to her. We have a much stronger relationship now, and communicate great despite my struggles early in the relationship. But the point is that change actually occurred. It's great that you're encouraging him. I likely would not have had the wherewithal to change without my girlfriend's encouragement, but ultimately, it's on him to start communicating. If it were me, I'd say 2 years is more than enough time for him to have started making noticeable progress in how he communicates with you, and the level of emotional maturity he brings to his interactions with you. If you're not seeing that, which it sounds like you aren't, I would move on. Sometimes people need emotional connection their partners simply are not capable of providing, whatever other great traits they might have. Your boyfriend kind of sounds like an a-hole. He refuses to accept blame for anything and makes everything your fault. What are you getting out of this relationship? You might be better off with someone who doesn't get defensive when he F's up and treats you with respect. I like to think that he does treat me with respect, generally speaking. He's fun, affectionate, and usually very chill. He encourages me to pursue my passions and helps me realize goals. He loves my family, and they love him, and he's been nothing but supportive of my little sister, who's in something of a depressive slump. But you're right. When we argue, it's like I've entered the effing twilight zone. Sometimes I feel like maybe I shouldn't voice concerns because they're not worth the potential blowout argument that we might have. And sometimes I reflect on things post-argument and realize I probably blew things out of proportion. But it's so frustrating to be hit with the "sorry you feel that way" line, when all I want is a genuine apology and a promise to work towards better communication with me. I just don't know what to do, or if it's even possible to get through to him. And if it is, how? Why is he so stubborn when we argue, when usually he's extremely laid back? Because if things are going his way, or he's not being challenged, he doesn't have an issue. But when he's disagreed with, or has to dredge up some empathy, the mask slips. Right? He's the kind of person that loves it when things go his way, but shows his true colors when things aren't. You are going to be in a bad situation if you get serious with him. More problems are going to come in, like when you have money issues, or child issues, and your partner doesn't seem capable of dealing with issues. We don't have the full evidence of emotional abuse, but we certainly have red flags. Consider the famous line, "The abuser doesn't have a problem with their anger, they have a problem with yours." It's all fine till you have something to say that he doesn't want to hear. That is the mind of the abuser, and you want to be careful here. Even if it's not abuse yet, I mean, who wants to stay in a borderline abusive relationship? And now on to the update. How to move on, ? Well, almost exactly 2 years ago, 2 years and 3 days, I, now 24, posted here about getting frustrated about crying during arguments with my boyfriend, who is now 29. The comments really highlighted the fact that I had buried the lead. I was crying because my boyfriend didn't respect or understand my emotional needs, and I didn't know how to express them without being met with defensiveness or anger. 2 years later, that has not changed. I broke up with him yesterday, after 4 years of heartache and hoping that I could single-handedly fix the relationship by working on my, admittedly very imperfect, communication. We started seeing a therapist in June last year, and she has been wonderful in helping us communicate and talk through problems. Unfortunately, and agonizingly, our slightly improved communications allowed me to realize that our needs are fundamentally incompatible and that overcoming 4 years of awful communication and traumatic relationship events is too difficult for me to handle right now. If you're familiar with attachment theory, I am definitely anxiously attached, and my now ex-boyfriend is definitely avoidant. I would push him to communicate, to hear me, to understand my feelings, and that would cause him to pull away or shut me out, which only increased my anxiety and my attempts to get him to hear me. 2 years ago, we were fighting once a month. Lately, we've been fighting once a week. Just a really terribly vicious circle that has completely worn down my self-esteem and contentment over time. The worst for me was about 1.5 years ago, when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. My boyfriend would call me on my lunch break every day of that week, which I appreciated. I went over to his house on the weekend, hoping for some support. At 7 p.m., the start of his weekly game night, he said, "Well, it's time for game night," and went. When I cried and tried to express to him how much that hurt me, he coldly responded by telling me I'm high maintenance. I don't think I've been able to work past this event internally. We've tried, he didn't apologize for it until we were in therapy, and I've struggled to truly forgive and move on. I never was able to articulate my feelings in a way that I thought he might be receptive to, so I stopped bringing it up. But it definitely stewed. I don't think he's a bad person. Recognizing my own resentment towards him was what allowed me to end the relationship. I finally understood that while I certainly feel hurt by some of his actions, and hurt because he didn't really seem able to meet my needs, that's a result of our differing needs and expectations. Yeah, I would have loved for him to prioritize me over his video games, but I think I understand now that it's alright for him to prioritize games over me, and it's alright for me to be uncomfortable about it and to walk away because of it. I'm going to miss him so much. I feel broken and alone. When I broke up with him, I sobbed the entire time, and he responded calmly and almost emotionlessly. How do I deal with this? I don't know how to heal, and I don't know how to forgive myself for toughing this out for 4 years. I know it's not, edit entirely, my fault, but part of me still finds ways to blame myself. I don't know what to do. TLDR, broke up with my dismissive, avoidant boyfriend of 4 years, completely a wreck, feel like I've wasted time and disrespected my own emotional needs by staying with him, but miss him terribly. How do I move on? And they share an edit after the comments. Thank you all for sharing your experiences and advice with me. It's really helped me through a tough day. I'm sure the weeks ahead will be hard, but I will keep all of your support in mind. Now, in the comments, Beneficial Half 5645 says, I was you a few years ago, probably anxiously attached to someone who was avoidant. We broke up, and I took a year to work on myself. I made myself a single girl checklist of things I want to do prior to getting into another relationship. Things like traveling by myself, getting a tattoo, going skydiving, and living by myself. It sounds crazy, but it really helped me come to terms with myself as a person, and my own bad habits. My ex and I were together for 4.5 years, and I learned that I need to see all sides of things and work on being more independent. After that year, I waded into the dating pool and discovered online dating, which was awful in itself. Do not recommend, lol. However, I kept my identity, focused on the present instead of what I wanted from the future, and stopped giving free passes to people with crappy behavior, and also stopped giving more than I was getting. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of tears, a lot of wine, and the help of my very best friends. But I did it. I got out, and I learned how to be a strong individual. These days, I'm in a much happier relationship, and my mental health and sanity are much better. Hang on. Distract yourself with a bucket list and you will get through it. And OP replies, the bucket list is a fantastic idea. Some things will be harder to put into practice during the pandemic, at least in my area, but there are definitely some small goals that I'd like to set for myself and try to achieve at home. Maybe I'll finally finish writing the album I've been trying to write for years. I know by the end of the relationship that I was totally codependent and will need to work on strategies to deactivate my anxiety before I'm ready to start dating again. Right now, I can't even stand the idea of entering a new relationship anytime soon, but I'll be taking the time to work on myself. Thank you. Yes, do it. It will be harder with the pandemic, but the album idea is great. I think I also read a new book series and developed a hobby. Hello, candle making. Honestly, I really liked that time where I just cut myself off from dating. That was actually around the time I met my current significant other, and we were able to develop a solid friendship prior to dating. And OP replies, yes, I think I can get myself excited about being single and focusing on myself. In due time. Candle making sounds so fun. Wait, things I've never even thought about. Where do you get scents from? Not sure where you're from, but I get all of my stuff from Michael's. Any craft store would work, I think. Easiest candles are just the pour and scent ones. Also, Not shaving your legs for undisclosed amounts of time is amazing. Nyoka Rose says, don't keep making a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. This quote helped me a lot. And OP replies, so true. At a certain point I realized it was the sunk cost fallacy, but I just kept hoping I could make it work if I tried harder. And Sharkaub says, it's cliche, but time does heal. And you've done so much growing, and you've gotten so much better at recognizing things within others and yourself that you can continue to do so moving forward to your own benefit. That growth will help you heal too. I used to beat myself up all the time for sinking years into an ex that I truly wanted to marry. But we were never going to be compatible after some of the things that were said and done. Now I'm in my 30s and I've been married for 8 years to someone so different from my ex and completely wonderful for me. I never saw myself marrying after that breakup, but here we are, and it's shocking how much happier I am and how much better he treats me. Hindsight really is 20/20. If I'm honest, that breakup and the months following were some of the most painful moments of my whole life. It sucks bad. But if you focus on the reason you broke up, what you want and deserve from life, you'll get better, and one day it won't hurt as much, and then another day it won't hurt at all. I'm sorry you're hurting, OP, but I'm proud of you for doing it. There's no shame in taking longer than you'd have liked to figure something out, and the stuff you learned in the meantime will help you immensely in the future. Good luck. And OP replies, this comment was like a virtual hug. Thank you so much. I feel so seen, and I teared up reading it. I'll keep reminding myself that what I want from a partnership and from myself were not achievable in that relationship. It sucks that love was not enough, but I'm proud of myself for walking away too. I'm so glad to hear that you found a fulfilling love. My ex told me recently that all relationships have problems and that the grass isn't always greener. But I like to think I can find a relationship with problems I am more able to handle. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.